Hello, students. How are you doing this time, these days? This is Girma from Lucybridge Academy, your English teacher. So today I come with a new topic that is conditional clauses. Last time, to remind you what we discussed, last time we touched about this relative pronoun in detail. We touched different pointers that you are expected to be familiar as an high school student is, and in addition, particularly those who are preparing themselves for this national exam, what I'm giving you in detail is very important for you. Not only for that, even those who do have a plan to take this ELT examination or this international examination, it helps you a lot. So you have to read it again and again and practice, and that may pave the way for you as you can read furthermore and master, especially the areas that face you difficulty before. And this is what I need to tell you, that in the case of the grammar part, since what I'm teaching you here is English for academic purpose, therefore much more I give emphasis for the areas that challenges the students, because from my experience I know there's a susceptible area that challenges you. Therefore, as much as possible, I'm trying to make for you very clear and simple. But if you do have maybe any question, you can write or else jot down under the comments. I'm very confident that I can make clear for you. This is what I need to tell you. After that, let's come to today's topic about these conditional clauses. As you know that these conditional clauses, almost it is a routine pattern or else rule. And you started learning this one fundamentally from the lower grade. But here we see in detail, even I want to make you very familiar with the exceptions, yes, beyond the common pattern, that means, okay, concerning this conditional clause. And then I categorized into 4 types here to make easy or else clear for you. And then different scholars may name the 4 types of this conditional clause in different ways, but this can bring us in the same boat, that means, yes. Therefore, the first one is there a conditional or else factual conditional clause, probable or else likely conditional clause, improbable or unlikely conditional clause, and a real or else impossible conditional clause. Each of them does have basically their own patterns, and then the first thing that you are expected is to be familiar with all the patterns. And then if once you master the pattern, it doesn't have a problem, because you might be given in exam the if clause, then you're asked the main clause, or else you might be given the main clause, then you're asked the tense of the if clause. And in addition, not only for the exam, even in your communication, if you get the key or a significant pointers, you can use in your own communication, that means to address your opinion. This is what I need to tell you. So when it comes to, that means, okay, the pattern, the first one is zero or else factual conditional clause. Here the pattern is here again and again. What I firmly advise you is, please, mastering the rule again doesn't put you in a guarantee position. This is what I'm saying always, yes. So after you be familiar with the new pattern or else rules, then you have to try to find the meaning. When a sentence is constructed with the new pattern that you learned, what does it mean? Yes? What does it mean when a sentence is constructed with the new rule that you learned? Yes? And then the big thing is that one, if you don't know the meaning, really, that is very difficult. And then you face difficulty. Only mastering the rule doesn't put you in a guarantee position. For instance, here, the pattern is this one, that is if plus subject plus verb 1 or else verb is. We call this one is simple present tense. Simple present. And the main clause again, it is simple present. Yes. This is what you have to remember. Is in zero conditional clause, both in if clause and as well as in main clause, the tense is the same, that is simple present tense. Don't forget this one. For instance, here, if a water is frozen, it expands. That means is frozen is a passive of simple present tense. Is frozen. This is fact. It expands. We don't say it will expand. Remember this one. So that's why I pressure you as you give emphasis for the meaning, for the intention of the sentence. That guide you or else tells you which type of verb that you decided for that tenses. If you mix red and white color, you get brown. This is fact. This is not only for today or else for tomorrow. This is always. Therefore, we don't use you'll get brown. Therefore, we categorize this one as a zero conditional clause. When you intend to state facts and truths with if clause, we use what we call, okay, this there or else factual conditional clause. Then when it comes to the next one, that is likely or else probable conditional clause, again, it has its own pattern. That is if plus subject plus verb 1 or else verb s. Then the next one is subject plus will, or else it can be sometimes as an option, can or may plus verb 1 is. Therefore, using this pattern, for instance, we can make a sentence like this. If you wake up early in the morning, wake up. Wake up is what? That is simple present tense verb 1. You will arrive at school. You will arrive is simple future, that means yes. And then this is what you have to remember. Here, when we see the pattern, we can say this one is simple present. This one is simple present. This one is simple future. Simple future. The main clause is simple future, and the if clause is simple present tense in likely or else probable conditional clause. Don't forget this one. And then this is the example. If I know the answer for this question, if I know is simple present tense, that is verb 1. I will show you how it is done. Yes. How will show you, that is simple future. And then instead of will, sometimes there is possibility that we can use can and may. That means, but after them, after modal auxiliary verb, whatever it is, don't forget that the verb that comes must be, that is verb 1. So the next one is improbable or else unlikely conditional clause. Here again, it has its own pattern. That means subject plus verb 2. This one is simple past. Simple past, and we call this one is conditional. So the if clause, when the if clause is simple past, then the main clause we call it conditional. That is would or could or might plus verb 1. Don't forget. For instance, here, if you woke up early, you would arrive at school on time. Especially beginning from this, that means improbable conditional, even the sentence tells you that means, yes, it is positive, that means. But here, it has a negative sense, yes? Have you got? For instance, if you woke up early, you would arrive at school. So you don't woke up early. This means if you woke up early means you don't woke up early, you would arrive at school, you don't arrive. The meaning is that is, it has a negative sense, a negative intention, or else present unfulfilled action, even we can say it like that. Yes? It has a negative sense. And again, if I had many means I don't have many. Yes? It has that sense. Yes? Don't forget this one. Not only the pattern that you are expected to master, that means, okay, you are expected to know the meaning. I don't have many, I don't buy smart shoes. I would buy smart shoes. I don't buy smart shoes. Have you seen? If you studied hard, you could score a remarkable result. Look here, if you studied hard means, yes, the person, this is a present unfulfilled action. Don't forget that, Mrs. If we say if you studied hard, at that present time, that person doesn't study. That means you don't study, you can't score remarkable result. This is the meaning, yes. So when we want to state that something is not fulfilled at present time, then we use the improbable or else unlikely conditional clause. Much more, for instance, okay, further example, if you came in the summer, means what? You don't come in the summer, you could stay with us and you might even get your own. That means he can't. He can't stay with us. That is negative. I would be very frightened if somebody pointed again at me. That means I would be. Even this one is negative. Sarah wouldn't get the job if she applied. That means she doesn't apply, she doesn't get. Don't forget it has, she doesn't, Sarah doesn't get the job. We can say she doesn't get She doesn't get the job. She doesn't apply. She doesn't apply. Have you seen it at these senses? The meaning that is, it is a present unfulfilled action. Yes? When we want to state a present unfulfilled action, we can use what we call this unlikely conditional clause. So the next is imaginary conditional clause. What we dream, which is not concrete. Sometimes we dream to have something, that means, okay, which is imaginary. So we call it imaginary conditional clause. Then it has its own pattern. Most of the time for every subject we use where, subject plus would plus verb one. But some books even they, instead of where, they use was. But most of the time, that means in exam, the question is written like this. Yes? So example, if I were in Ambo means I'm not in Ambo. Yes? At this time, I'm not in Ambo. I would visit Wenchi Lake. I don't visit. Yes? I'm not in Ambo, I don't visit. If my grandfather were still alive, he's not alive. He would be 100 today. That means, okay, he can't be, okay, 100 because he's not alive. That means, yes. So when, that means, okay, this is imaginary conditional clause. So you have to know the meaning, because sometimes you may be given the meaning and then you are requested to change it to if clause, to bring back to if clause. So being familiar with the meaning is very important, even to decide it, okay, the pattern, that means, okay, the tense. This is what I advise you. Then the third one is unreal or else impossible conditional clause. It has its own pattern here. Subject plus add plus verb 3. This is past perfect. Then subject would have plus verb 3. This is perfect conditional. That means, yes, amigo, this is past perfect. And then when the if clause is past perfect, then the main clause is perfect conditional clause. Here you do have example. If I had money. Previously, don't forget, if I had money means I don't have money. That is a present unfulfilled action. If I had money. But if we say if I had money, that is past unfulfilled action. Therefore, we state it, or else we say I didn't have money, I didn't buy a smart shoe. Even this one is wrong. That means, okay, this is wrong. It must be I didn't. Don't forget this. Cancel out this one. I didn't buy a smart shoe. If I had known how difficult the job was, I wouldn't have taken. I didn't know how difficult the job was. I took it. Yes. I wouldn't have taken it means I took it. Yes. So this is what you have to remember. Yes. I wouldn't have taken it. I didn't know how difficult the job, but I took it. Yes. If she hadn't been ill means she was ill. Yes, don't forget. If this one is negative, this is past unfulfilled action, then the meaning is positive. Yes, she would have gone to the concert. That means, okay, she didn't go to the concert. Particularly, it is good if you be familiar with the meaning, beginning from unlikely, that means, yes, because we'll see later on how that is very important. The other one is, which is not common, is only if and if only, that means, yes. So this has a relation with conditional clause. We use only if to emphasize a special condition. For instance, yes, we sometimes put the word only before the verb. That means in the main clause, we sometimes put the word only, that means the word only here, before the verb in the main clause. For instance, the phrase if and only, if and only if is another, that is for emphatic version that we use, meaning on one condition only, that means, yes. And then, so let's come to example, how sentence is constructed with help of this pattern. This can be used only if there is an emergency, yes. Can, here we use can, and then here we use what we call, okay, simple present. Yes? He will come only if he is ordered to. That means if he is ordered to. My children will only eat a breakfast cereals if they have seen it on the TV first. You broke the law if and only if. This is for emphatic. Most of the time we use it in mathematics. If and only if the agreement formed a legal contract. So from the sentence you can learn that one. Is so next, only if examples. This can be used only if there is an emergency, or already we have seen that one. Then let's come to the exceptions. This is what I told you previously. Even if this conditional clause is very routine, but there are some exceptions that do not follow the domain rule, which is different from that. Yes? For instance, if and should. You can say if something should happen. For instance, if Tom should phone while I am out, tell him I will phone him. Here there must be what we call, okay, comma, yes. Comma must be here. Look, if Tom should phone while I am out, tell him I will phone him back. This is what you have to remember. I have left the washing outside. If it should rain, can you bring it in? Therefore, should is taken here, not like a past tense, that means, okay, don't forget. You can also put should at the beginning. For instance, sometime, should Tom phone? That means, can you tell him I will phone him? And then here I can show you. This is if Tom. If Tom should phone, can you tell him, comma, I will phone him back. I'll phone him back later. For instance, we can write like this. Yes? This is not question anyway. If Tom should, so inversion, maybe we'll see that one. So when we bring this one, it will have this one. That means we cancel out if will be cancel out, and then we will write like this. Should Tom phone? Can you tell him? Therefore, you have to remember these patterns. This is different. It is not common. That means yes. And then we don't usually put will in if clause unless we are using the full emphatic or else form to mean if you insist, or else when it is a part of a polite invitation or request, maybe there is possibility that we can write will in if clause like this. If you will put for emphatic, this is yes. But this is not common. Even in exam, I don't know. I have never seen. And then, but just it is good if you know. No one knows what will happen. That means, okay, if you'll just follow me, I will take you to your room. Especially when we use, that means, okay, for emphatic. This is not that much common anyway. The other one is unless, means if not. Unless means if not. If once we use unless, we don't need another negative words in that clause. For instance, here, there is no chance of you getting the job unless you apply. Unless you apply means if you don't apply, it's apply. That means, okay, there is one spelling that is left. You can correct it. You can't travel on this train unless you have a reservation. Unless you have a reservation, if you don't have. With unless, we use a present when we talk about the future. That means unless it rains. For instance, here we can't say unless it doesn't rain. And it doesn't rain, I will pick up at 6. This is wrong, yes. Because already we do have unless here, we don't make negative. This is what I want to aware you. The other important point that you requested to be familiar is inversion. There is inversion with conditional clause. You remember at the beginning we touched about this inversion. The concept is when a negative word begins, inversion that we discussed previously, when a negative word or phrase comes before a sentence, or else when we begin with negative word or phrase a sentence, inversion takes place. That means the auxiliary verb comes before the subject. This is what we touched. But different from that, we do have inversion. That means even if it is not negative, we do have inversion with conditional clause. For instance, here, if I were you, I would travel to London to study English more. And then when we invert, where are you? We cancel out if. Where are you? The rest, the main clause doesn't have, or else doesn't bring any change. We write it as it is. This is what you have to remember. If I had known how difficult the job was, have you seen? If I had had money. Had I had money, Or else, if I had known how difficult the job was, I wouldn't have taken it. Had I known how difficult the job was, or else if I had had money, had money means if I had had money. Don't forget, because if you do have awareness about this inversion of this conditional clause, you can bring back to the original way of writing and perceive the meaning. That helps you to decide it, what we call, okay, the tense and the meaning of the main clause. This is what I need to tell you. So having this, here you do have some question. Choose from the verb to complete the sentence using each one's only if the possible it says. If the police dash him, he would spend. Sometimes we may write what we call, okay, this would in abbreviation. This means he would spend. Sometimes to confuse you, they may write like that. Don't forget. The other thing, again, what I want to recollect or else remember is we can swap the position. That means, okay, we can begin with main clause or else if clause. That doesn't bring any change. For instance, here we can say, we can rewrite this one. That means, okay, with he would spend at least 5 years in prison, comma, not comma. Comma is not important. Maybe I can show you. Let me show you this one. In that means if I had enough time I would have finished all my works. For instance, we can rewrite this one like this. Had I had enough time, I would have finished all my works. This is one. The other thing what I need to tell you is that we can begin with if clause or with main clause. We can rewrite like this. I would have finished all my works if I had enough time. Have you seen? We can begin with main clause or else with if clause. When we begin with main clause, after before if, we don't use comma. This is not important. That means, okay, we say if. That means if there is comma, most of the time that is wrong. Yes, have you got? Comma is not important. And then this is what you have to remember is concerning this one. So we can begin with if clause or else with main clause. That doesn't bring any change. This is what you have to remember. But for the inversion, already here I show you the inversion. Therefore, this is what you have to remember about the inversion. For instance, here, if the police dash him, he would spend at least 5 years. That means, okay, if the police caught him, he would spend. That means here we have to change. This one is, if this one is would plus verb 1, here we have to use verb 2. So which word, first you have to identify which word is appropriate to complete the sentence meaningfully. That means first that one, then the other one is based on the main clause, you decided the verb forms. That means yes. And then this is verb 2, so here we say caught. I will do 1, 2, 3, the rest you'll do it. Yes. If they dash to reach their target, the order would be lost. Lost must be written here. Yes. If they failed to reach, because the order would be, if this one is would, here it is verb 2. If they failed to reach their target, the order would be. How do you rewrite this one? How do you complete the third one? If I dash how to contact Mike, I would get, this is would, I would get in touch with him today. If I dash, how to contact Mike. Which one do you think is the appropriate word first? Yes, please. Can you say? So that is no. And then this one is would. Here we use verb to. The verb to of no is what? That is new. The rest do it. So do it, try. So I will give you, the answer key. And at the same time, if you face any difficulty there, you can write under the comments. I can make for you very clear, or else I will explain for you much more. The other one is, this is what I told you. You have to know the meaning. So sometimes you may be given a task. That means, okay, the meaning is given, then you are requested to change into if clause. For instance, here, I don't have, the first one is done. I don't have extra pen, I will not give you one. This means if I had extra pen, I would give you one. That means here I is missed. You can write I would give you one. For instance, I don't know Jackson's phone number. I can't tell you. How do you change this one to if clause? The meaning is given, and then how do you change? How do you rewrite with if clause pattern? Then, for instance, here, if I don't know Jackson's, if I don't know, if I know, if I knew, that means if I knew Jackson's phone number, Jackson's phone number, that means I could tell you. I could tell you. Have you seen? We can say like this. If I knew Jackson's phone number, I could tell you. What about number 2? She didn't prepare for the test. She didn't pass. How do you change this one to if clause? Yes. Can you say something? Okay. Let me show you this one. The rest you will do it. She didn't prepare for the last. This means if she had prepared. She had prepared for the test. For the test, she didn't pass, it says, yes, she would have passed. Because this one is what? She had, if she had prepared for the test, she would have passed. She would have passed. That means, okay, she would have passed means, she didn't pass. If she had prepared for the test means she didn't prepare. So this is how we can change. If you know, this helps you. That's why I advise you. That means, okay, if you know the meaning, so things will be easy for you to change, to bring back to if clause and like that. Yes? And then don't forget this one. Yes? So as I told you, till we meet next time, I wish you have a good time. Thank you very much for today. So next time, as I told you, I will release or else post for you question that are extracted from national exam. Let you do in advance that one. And after that, when we meet next time, that means we will do together. I will explain for you. I will give you further explanation. So up to that, I wish for you a good time. Thank you very much. I want to say goodbye.